Welcome to Half a Point, the podcast that is back for the 2026 season. Good to have everyone back. We're absolutely pumped to get into this year's AFL season. This week is our win total predictions episode where we'll be giving our over under season predictions for every single team. To help me break it down, I am joined by my co-host, Carlton Superfan Cuss. Mate, we're back for another year. How are we feeling?
Mate, it's so good to be back. Feel like you've just been anticipating for this start of the season, you know, all these months. Few rule changes, so it'll be a bit of adjusting even for us.
Mhm.
But no, I'm super pumped. Always good to see the new footy season come around.
That's right, we're pumped. If you're new to the channel, please leave a like on this video and don't forget to subscribe. We're also active on TikTok, on X, and on Instagram, so give us a follow on those. And as always, also a reminder to please gamble responsibly. All right, Cuss. Massive off season it was, lots of changes. We was talking pre-show, lots of changes, lots of rule changes to get accustomed to. How's it going to affect the markets? We're going to dive into all of that. Just a bit of housekeeping to look over before we get stuck into it. So we'll be doing the five picks every week, as per like last year. So we're in a competition where five picks against a spread starting in round one. Also, this year we're going to be having a version of Survivor. If you've played that before, essentially you just have to pick a team to win every week. Doesn't sound too hard, but you can't pick that same team um, twice at all during the whole season. And if that team loses, if it's a shock upset, then you're knocked out. So you got to sort of think about like who to pick at one week and pick your spots. But yeah, it's not, it sounds easy, but it gets harder, obviously, as we get deeper into the season. So we're doing that as well, again, starting in round one. We will be giving our picks for all the round zero games next week. So tune in for that for sure, but they won't be counted towards our contest. So, as I said from the top, this is going to be our win total episodes. We're just going to run through every single team. We're not going to break it up like we did last year. So it might be a little bit of long episodes, but yeah, skip through to see your favorite team. We'll be going in alphabetical order, which means we're starting off with Adelaide. My Adelaide Crows, they were my Adelaide Crows last year. We called their rise to the top last year. If anyone tuned into this episode last year, we were all over Adelaide overs. We said they could finish minor premiers, and that's exactly what ended up happening. Yeah, we're massive Adelaide fans last year. Adelaide's win total is 14 and a half this year, juiced to the under. Last year they went 18 and 5, as I said, finished on top 12 and 11 against the spread, so pretty even. You're going to find it's pretty even for most teams here. Kush, do you want to run us through the ins and outs and give us your pick as well?
Yeah, look, in terms of the ins and outs, I wouldn't say there's too many notable changes. Obviously, Calamar Cheese come into the team. We know what he can do. He's a great kick of the footy as well. So I think yeah, he'll make a big difference down there. But I'm still pretty bullish on these Adelaide Crows, man. I think last year finishing as the minor premiers, didn't go too well in the finals. That's okay, it happens. But yeah, I think they'll find themselves in a similar spot. I'd be putting money on them in the top four. So yeah, give me the overs for Adelaide Crows.
Mate, you know they're my Adelaide Crows. Excuse me. You know they're my Adelaide Crows. I was all over them last year. This year, give me under 14 and a half
Ooh.
points for Adelaide. This is this is like one of my favorite ones. Probably pretty easy fade, I'd say. Listen to their first four games at Collingwood, Western Bulldogs, at Geelong, Fremantle. They could easily start 0 and 3, even 0 and 4. Like they or like what's the best case scenario there? Like 2 and 2. But yeah,
Yeah.
that could, as I said, that could easily start 0 and 4. I know for sure they're not going to start 0 and 5 because they have Carlton the week after in Adelaide, so that's guaranteed W.
Guaranteed, yeah.
Guaranteed W. But yeah, to me, they just feel like a 500 team this year. I have them around 12 wins, so well under what the market suggests. I just think after last year, they had a dream season. Everything went their way. They had a lot of injury luck as well. You can see at the start of this year, no ranking to start. Keane goes down as well. I think the reports of Saligo maybe being banged up as well. So a couple more injuries already to start off the season, and a way tougher schedule. They had like one of the easiest schedules last year. They got some tough, as you know, I just read out the first four. It doesn't get much easier across the whole season. And as is going to be a theme, like the bad teams were so bad last year. Like, am I going to be shocked if Port Adelaide steals one in a showdown? Like, absolutely not. Like, they're going to be. I think they're going to. It's going to be a lot more of a challenging year for this Adelaide Crows side. I think they're one of these wild card teams. Perhaps like I think they're probably closer to eighth than they are first, for sure. Will I be shocked if they have another good year? I think I will be. Like we saw, they got found out in the finals last year. I think like towards the end of the season, they had a really poor run against the spread. So, yeah, it's just saw everyone sort of catches up to them. I think it's going to catch up to them this year. So yeah, my beloved Adelaide Crows. Looks, I'll hand them over to you. That you're Adelaide Crows now. I'll be on Fade Adelaide this year.
All
Moving
right.
on to the Premiers, Brisbane. They went 16, 6 and 1 last year, 12 and 11 against the spread in the regular season. Obviously, they had a good final series and went on to win the premiership. Brisbane's win total over under is 15 and a half. Their notable ins are Oscar Allen and I think Annabelle Draper. Obviously, lost Calamachi, which you just talked about. Starcevich went to the Eagles as well. Um, Looking at all of that and looking at all the data, give me under 15 and a half wins for Brisbane here. I think it's a pretty easy one. I think I always say, like, whoever made the grand final, you want to fade that team. I didn't fade Brisbane last year. Like, I still said over for the last year because I thought they were undervalued going into the regular season. But this year, at 15 and a half, I just think that's probably one or two many wins there. They have a pretty tough finish to their schedule if you ever look at it, but otherwise it's not too bad. And they're probably likely to regress on the road against good teams. Like last year, we saw them beat Hawthorn on the road, Collingwood on the road, Geelong on the road, Freo on the road. Like they have these massive wins as road dogs. I expect that to sort of come back down to earth a little bit. And we say every year, Brisbane at the Gabba, they always find a way to lose these random games at the Gabba. I'm thinking to the Giants, Melbourne, Sydney. I feel that that continues. Like they've had two seasons go all the way. They've played the maximum number of games in two seasons in a row. Like there's not going to be that much care in the regular season here. When it gets to finals, different story. Then I'll be all over Brisbane. But for the regular season, I'm going to be all over the unders. What do you think?
Yeah, I think pretty similar. I think maybe a few weeks ago, I probably would have been pretty bullish on Brisbane finishing, in the top two. Um, probably saying, three-peat is just around the corner. But I think, yeah, you take a step back and look at it a bit. Like, yeah, their list is amazing. But obviously, a bit going on at the club at the moment. It's hard
Yeah, a
to
couple of
ignore
field
those sort of
issues.
things. Yeah, I don't know too much detail, but yeah, a few things going
Mate,
on.
it's like every second thing you see on Facebook is that story.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I've actually got them to finish at 15 wins. So it was very tough call. But yeah, I've got them on the unders here. Just.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Like, I don't hate that. Like, I'm pretty close to market as well. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the off-field issues as well. Is that going to play a part? Is that going to be a good thing for Brisbane? I don't know. I don't know. Like three or four of them broke up with their girlfriends. I don't know. Oh, there's another thing where after like a guy has a kid, like the week after, they like perform really well. I don't know if there's a some sort of opposite trend here. I don't know. Something to look into during the season if anyone
Yeah.
has a kid.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm going to be monitoring that too closely though. Moving on to Carlton now. Obviously this is your team. So I'll let you get stuck into the over-unders, sorry, the ins and outs in a bit. But last year, obviously, season from hell, not went 9 and 14, 11 and 12 against the spread in the end. So they ended up covering the last six in a row. So they were 5 and 12 against the
Yeah.
spread at one stage. But then, as we see, comes back down to earth, like everything sort of evens out over time. So yeah, really impressive, underrated because no one was really paying attention to them at the end of the season. So kind of underrated there. Um, yeah, their win total is Carlton's win total is 8.5. Do you want to run through the ins and outs and then give us your pick?
Yeah, big changes. Ben Ainsworth, notable in. Harry Dean got drafted. Ollie Florent, Will Hayward. So few big ins for Carlton. I wouldn't say big, but like decent ins for
And also
Carlton.
like Jagger Smith off the injury as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much. He'll be playing his first game as
Mm.
well. And then out the door we've got Charlie Curnow, Tom DeConning, Sam Doherty, Jack Silvani. So very big names. But look, I think the first 6 weeks I think are going to be absolute hell. I reckon it's going to be like one of the worst, passages of plays that you'll see. I definitely think, we're probably going to lose more than we win. And yeah, it'll just be messy footy. Just get the ball to the forward. But I think the change in dynamic in the midfield and forward up forward will help us a little bit. Um, 8.5. I've got the overs at 10 wins. Like if we went, the way I look at it, 9 and 14 last year, and we had a really rough season. I think we can do better than last year. Just might take some time to take off a little bit.
Give me over 8.5 wins for Carlton. This is one of the easiest picks. I'm gonna way over this win total. Um, yeah, I see what you mean. Like when you feel like you're gonna struggle, but looking through their schedule, listen to this schedule quirk I found. Do you know when their the last time that they leave Victoria is on sorry, let me rephrase that. So from round 11, right, which is May 23rd. Okay, May, which is in like 3 months
So yeah,
to August 17th, right? They leave Victoria one time. They have their last 9 games in Victoria, including what Hawthorn, Collingwood, Freo, Gold Coast, Saints. Like they can easily go 500 there. I think like their schedule's way easier than last year. Like they have like a bunch of easy games, and there's absolutely no pressure on this team. I think their upside is a top six team. I'm putting a little bit on Carlton to make the top six here. I think there's a bunch of value there. There's absolutely no pressure on this side. Um, Again, like what was their problem last year? Like kicking and efficiency and all that stuff. But I don't really see that improving heaps. If I'm being honest, like I don't think they're not going to be a quality side. But do I see them like winning a few games that they shouldn't win, especially at the start of the season? Absolutely. Like I think this team is a lot better. Like a couple of years ago, these guys were like what in a prelim, right? So I just can't imagine it being as bad as it was last year. So give me over 8.5. It's really low numbers also. Yeah, pretty
mm,
easily over there. Moving on to my team, Collingwood. Last year we went 16-7, bowed out in the prelim, 11-12 against the spread in the regular season. Collingwood's win total is 13.5. It's just to the under a little bit. So notable ins and outs are, I guess we got Jack Buller. Obviously got rid of Cox, Mychek's in Melbourne now. Hoskins retired. A couple old guys delisted, obviously, as well. But yeah, for Collingwood, give me the under 13.5 wins. I feel like this is the public sentiment, and I'm sort of jumping on with the public here. I'm actually right around market. Like I can see this team winning 13, 14 games. Like, will I be shocked if we go over? Not really, and get to 14. I don't see us being like a contender per se, like we were all season last year. We had a really good start to the season last year. Fell off towards the end, and typically when teams sort of fall off towards the end, it sort of flows into the next season as well, and that can work the other way as well. So just like I said, Carlton covered 6 in a row. I feel like carries over into this year. I think the market really caught up to us at the end of the last season, and I didn't see many list changes that are impressive. Again, well coached side. Do I see them winning a couple close games that probably shouldn't? Yep, absolutely. But that's probably more a week to week basis play. I think overall this team's going to be unders. What do you think?
Yep, pretty similar. I think yeah, another team that I reckon will have a rough start to the year. But they're very good at developing their young blokes. So I reckon towards the end of the season they might kick off a little bit and win string a few more wins together. But yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards the unders here. I reckon you said it perfectly.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on to Essendon. Um, Last year they went 6-17, awful season, and 9-14 against the spread, so pretty bad against the spread as well. Essendon's win total is 7.5. Cast want to run us through their ins and outs and your pick.
Yep, ins. I would not really say they had many
Yeah,
notable ins.
fair.
Fiorini, maybe
Yeah.
you could shout his name out. But otherwise, out of the team, you got Sam Draper, Todd Goldstein. He's been there for a while. Laverde and Hobbs. So, yeah. We also got Dylan Shield didn't do much for the team, honestly, ever since he got there. Pretty useless. And yeah, I think looking at this team where they're at, definitely in a rebuild phase. And I think just getting some games into the young blokes is pretty much what this season is about. I don't see them. I see them finishing in the bottom four. I hope they finish in the bottom four.
Yeah.
But yeah, I reckon they'll be able to string up like 5 wins, 4 wins. So yeah, definitely taking the unders here.
Wow, could not disagree more. Give me over 7.5 wins for Essendon. I actually think this team could be one of those top 10 wildcard teams. I think there's value there for sure. I couldn't get the 10 wins, maybe 11. 11 may be a stretch, but I can see them getting to at least 10 wins here. Remember how banged up this team was last year? Like that isn't they were injury riddled. Can that happen again? Obviously, yeah. But I don't know. They made some changes to account for that. I don't know, man. Like I feel like even with I don't know, retaining Merritt obviously is a good player. I mean, that's gonna help. But I just think they were so banged up last year, and a lot of the good players are just not on the field. I feel like they come back, but the market hasn't really adjusted too much. Everyone sort of thinks that they're still that
Mm,
really bad young side, and obviously, yeah, they have a lot of youngsters in there, but just don't see them being as bad as what people perceive. Um, I think on a week to week basis, I think this team's probably going to be pretty good to jump on. As I said, 9-14 against the spread last year. I'm pretty poor, so expect a little bit of regression back to 500. Obviously, they were injury riddled. I think a little bit of injury luck, win a couple games that they shouldn't. I think they're alive for a final spot, even though I hate to say it. Now, of course, when we get to that finals game, am I going to be fading them deluxe? Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. Apparently, top 10's a final spot. It's just kind of gimmicky. I don't know. I don't know about that, but yeah, I'm all over Essendon overs and their upside. Moving on to Fremantle. Last year they went 16-7, and 11-12 against the spread in the regular season. Fremantle's over under is at 14.5. Ins and outs. Mason Cox, I don't know. Chad McVee, solid role player. Um, who'd they get rid of? Not much. Will Brody, I guess. Fife retired. Um, Narkle retired. Walters retired. So they weren't really in the side anyway. So nothing. So pretty stable list, I'd say. For Fremantle, give me under 14.5 wins, but I'm right around market here. So it's not going to be a super, it's not going to be really a play for me at all. It's honestly a coin flip for me this game. I'm leaning under. A couple of reasons is as road dogs last year, like who'd they beat? They beat Collingwood on the road, the Giants on the road, Gold Coast on the road, Western Bulldogs on the road in that last round. So um, really good on the road, winning games that they were meant to win. Kind of similar like Brisbane, and I think that just comes back down to earth. And even at home last year against some good teams, they were pretty good. I mean, they beat Adelaide on the road. Sorry, at home. They beat Western Bulldogs at home. So I just feel like a little bit of regression's coming as well. Again, like, am I going to be shocked? Like, what if West Coast steals one off them? Like, is that going to be the most shocking thing? No, they did it 2 years ago. It's not that like this same West Coast side. So, yeah, I just think, as I said, the competition will be a little bit more even. I mean, they lost to like Melbourne last year. They lost to St Kilda. Like these random teams that can that happen again? Like it's not going to be crazy if it does. So, yeah, this is again, I'm right around market 14. I feel like is a pretty sharp number. I thought I would get 15 or 16 for Freo based on the public sentiment, but yeah, give me the unders. What do you think?
Yep, I'm on the unders as well for them. Yeah, I feel like last year so many things just went right for them. They just had a healthy list. They just managed to win games that they probably shouldn't have won. And yeah, it just made their season look 10 times better than it should have been. Yeah, so definitely a bit of regression. I'm jumping on the unders here, but yeah, not by a lot. I reckon, a couple games under that, and I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do manage to hit the overs on that one.
Yeah, I agree. Like they could still be like a top sort of six side.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done. Moving on to Geelong, the other team that made the grand final last year. Obviously had a really good season. They went 17 and 6 straight up, 15 and 8 against the spread in the regular season. So that's the best by far. 15 and 8 is pretty crazy though. It's what's that, like 60 odd percent. Um, yeah, so Geelong's win total is 15 and a half. Cast, want to run us through the ins and outs in your pick?
Yeah, not too many players came in. A few draft picks. James Warple comes into the team from Hawthorn. And then, yeah, delisted, I guess, just Cam Guthrie, Mitch Duncan. So a bit of experience lost there, which probably doesn't matter too much for them.
Yeah, they barely played.
Um, yeah. In terms of their season, I think they had such a great season last year, but it's yeah, like with Fremantle, it just went so perfectly. I think they have to regress. You mentioned 15 and 8. You don't see those numbers very often. So I think they're going to regress quite a little bit. But it's so hard to pick this team because they just always find a way, and that's probably the most frustrating thing about them is every year you're saying they're going to have a worse season than the one before, but they find a way to just win games and play a good game of footy. So I'm on the unders here, but I'm very, very unconfident about it.
I agree. I'm very confident though. Give me under 15 and a half wins for Geelong. This again, one of my favorite ones. Yeah, in terms of picks. Like I think, well, I won't be shocked if they win like what 12 games.
Mm,
There is a world where they get to 16 plus, but I feel like everything has to go right for them,
yeah.
which I don't see happening. Like, again, last year, really good as home favorites against the spread. I feel that come back down to, yep, they're usually pretty good at GMHBA, but I don't know, we've seen them go on some streaks where they lose multiple games. They have a couple tough scheduling spots. Like, they have a lot of Thursday games with short rest. And so, you know, a lot of these like good teams who like made the grand final, like all the top eight sides previous year, they get stuck with a lot of these primetime games, which actually ends up being bad for them in terms of a rest edge point of view. So whereas, like, when's the West Coast going to play a Friday night game? It's never going to happen, right? For the time being. So, yeah, a lot of bad spots. Again, look at the start to the schedule at Gold Coast, Fremantle, Adelaide, Hawthorn. It's not too bad right after that, but it's could they start 1 and 3? I can easily see them starting 1 and 3 there, 2 and 2. But I'd be shocked if they start 4 and 0 there. Like yeah, I think this team is just again 15 and 8 last year. Regression is sort of going to hit them pretty substantially. Yes, they are a good coach side, and so I don't think they'll miss the 8 or the 10 or whatever it is now. But yeah, well under 15 and a half here. Moving on to Gold Coast, they went 15 and 8 last year, 12 and 11 against the spread. Um, Couple notable ins and outs. Petrarca comes in. Hugo Hagen comes in. They drafted Zeke Hewland. And then out Ainsworth, Butterick, Fiorini, Flanders. A couple good role players are out. Their win total is 15 and a half. Give me over 15 and a half wins for Gold Coast and give me Gold Coast to be the minor premiers this year. This is I'm smashing. This is one of my favorite picks. Probably the favorite pick of the off season. Mate, their schedule starts really favorably. Look at this, like they have Geelong at home, and then West Coast, Richmond at Melbourne. Like it's very Richmond. Well, it's not very good. They do finish with three road games in the last three rounds, but against Giants, Brisbane, and St Kilda. So, but who knows where those teams are at that stage? I think what's really important to say with this Gold Coast side is like over the history we've said, oh, like it's Gold Coast, they always underdeliver. But last year, a couple key things were they beat Brisbane finally, which I think is a big deal, in their big boy month as well, and they beat Collingwood in that stretch as well. So I think there were a couple big wins for the club, which I think are meaningful. And they also got one finals win, which I think again is a big deal. Like this group now has belief that okay, if they make the finals, they can win. So I'm not picking them to win the premiership or anything, but I think this is the perfect season. Like teams that like I don't like Brisbane to finish first because like honestly they don't care about the regular season. Like they only care about the finals. They're like
Mm.
a smart veteran team now. This Gold Coast side team they sort of feel like they still need to prove it to everyone as well. So I like teams. I like the upside of those sorts of teams. They obviously have a really stacked list. Who knows what Jamara can be? I feel like he's just going to be a bonus. I think Petrarca fits in nicely with this midfield, especially with Rao missing the first couple games as well. Um, but yeah, I yeah, as I said, I think they had a couple of really meaningful wins. I think usually team trajectories aren't linear. I feel like this team is slowly going up, and I think it's just going to go further. As I said, upside a minor premiership. The odds aren't great on it, if I'm being honest. Like it's not too long. But I have to go with the upside here. I think the market's really smart. They caught up to it. 15 and a half is a pretty big number. But yeah, I'm smashing the overs, smashing the top four, smashing the minor premierships. What do you think?
Mate, that is literally my pick. Yeah,
No way.
I'm with the overs and I have them as a minor. But I don't think they'll win the grand final. I'm
Yep.
not going that far, but
Yep.
yeah, I definitely think they can finish as a minor premier here. They look they look so good last year, and just the players that they've brought in, I think it just strengthens them a lot more. Like how crazy is their forward line going to be with King and Jamar Ugle-Hagan running
Yep.
around? And just their midfield as well. It's hard to find a midfield that's, going to compete with them. So yeah, I'm very bullish on these Suns. And yeah, like you said, first time in so long that you can go into a season and just feel how good they're going to be. If they disappoint us, that's going to be so embarrassing. But far out, it's going to be like your call with Carlton.
Yeah, nah, that was pretty bad. But I don't know. I can't. Damn, ouch. Or
Yeah.
your call of Sydney last year. I don't know. You said top four.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, nah, fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be mad. Like, I wouldn't be mad. Like, I'm pretty happy with the call. Like, 15 and a half as well is pretty low as well.
Yeah.
I think they get to like 18. Anyway,
Mhm.
we're all bought in on the Suns. Yeah, we're a Gold Coast Suns podcast this year. That does not sound good.
Doesn't flow, doesn't flow.
It doesn't fly out. Yeah, roll off the tongue. All right, moving on to the Giants. They went 16 and 7 last year. Obviously, out in the first round of the finals versus Hawthorn. 14 and 9 against the spread, so pretty good against the spread overall. If you look at it, they had a stretch in the middle, I think, where they went 6 and 0 against the spread. Their win total is 12 and a half. Cus want to run us through their ins and outs.
Yeah, in terms of who they brought in, Clayton Oliver, probably just the most notable player that they've decided to bring in.
Yeah,
And in terms of outs, not much. Callan Ward has retired.
yeah.
And yeah, not many other changes to their list. Pretty stable list, honestly. With their season. Um, I think they've had similar seasons, past few seasons, where they compete, but they don't really make an impact, come finals. And they have a patch of games where either they do really good or they do really bad. And I think it's going to be pretty similar this year as well. They did lose Tom Green. Very unfortunate there. That's a big loss. We know how impactful he is. But
And
I
Darcy Jones as well. Sorry,
okay, yep, there we
end of
go.
last year. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely gonna make an impact to the way they play. And I do think they'll get the overs here. But it's gonna be a coin flip here as well. I reckon, 13, 14 wins. Um, But yeah, they should get the overs. What do you think?
Yeah, give me over 12 and a half wins for the Giants. This was at 13 and a half before all the injuries for the Giants. So, um, at 13 and a half, I would have loved them. Like I saw them as potentially a top 4 team. I feel like everyone's writing this Giants team off for no reason. Like there's no reason to be writing this Giants team off. They still have like this forward line still pretty stacked. They still have what Taylor and Buckley in the back line, and the midfield was pretty good. Obviously, Tom Green going out is a big deal. And Callahan, I think, is going to be injured to start the season. Had a couple of, I think Kelly's always just injured. And I think Bedford as well. So like the whole midfield is pretty much injured. So it's hard to like him as much, but I think their upside's top 4. I think they could be a top 4 side. Their draw isn't too difficult, but I just think like everyone's down on them, and I think their window's still open. So, um, yeah, give me over 12 and a half now, especially now it's come down to 12 and a half for the Giants. All right, moving on to Hawthorn here. Last year they went 15 and 8, and 14 and 9 against the spread in the regular season. So again, really good regular season. In terms of ins and outs, they didn't really bring anyone in that's too notable, I'd say. Obviously, Luke Bruce retired. CJ goes to Melbourne. Warple goes to Geelong. Hawthorn's win total is 14 and a half. Give me over 14 and a half wins for Hawthorn and give me Hawthorn to win the premiership this year. That's right, my official premiership pick is the Hawthorn Hawks here. I absolutely love this team. I'm all in on Hawthorn this season. I think there's a world where they win 17, 18 games. As I said, I like Gold Coast for the minor premiership. If you want to play some Hawthorn, I don't hate that either. They have a lot of like Thursday games, I think 5 like until like round 16. So that's not good, like lots of short rest. But if you actually look at them, in some of those they actually have a rest edge against their opponent, which is like they play like back-to-back Thursdays, for example, whereas their opponent's on a 5-day break, for example. So it may not be a bad thing, and I think yeah, in their last 8 games, only 2 from last year played finals, so they have a really soft end to their schedule. I think, yeah, this team is sort of they sort of came up on us a couple of years ago. They were pretty good last year. They won a final, or 2 finals. I think this is the year they sort of actually are a top 4 team and a top 4 team for the whole season and are like a premiership threat all season. And then once it gets a Victorian team in the finals, if it's Hawthorn Gold Coast at the MCG or even at People's First, honestly, I'd probably be on Hawthorn. So yeah, Victorian team, I think everything's primed. Sam Mitchell's a good coach. So yeah, give me Hawthorn to win the premiership. What do you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. I reckon they're a top 4 team for sure. There is almost zero like doubt in that. Um, with the Premiership Corp, not too sure, not too sure yet.
Okay.
I like don't hate it at all. I think
Yeah.
they're going to be such a competitive team, and we know how much energy they bring as well. But yeah, I'm on the overs here. But yeah, you said it perfectly. I think just their list consistency. It's very well balanced. They've just got, they've got good players all over the ground, so well covered. And yeah, good role players as well.
Okay, interesting. So we haven't hit Cuss's premiership pick yet. So there's a couple Melbournes and North Melbournes coming up. So I'm a bit concerned, but we'll see. Tune in, I guess. Like stay tuned for Cuss's premiership pick. But yeah, I'm going with Hawthorn. Yeah, we'll see what Cuss is. But as I said, moving on to Melbourne, uh, premiership pick. No.
Yeah,
Oh, perhaps we'll
yeah.
see. They went 7 and 16 last year, obviously by their coach. 11 and 12 against the spread in the regular season. Obviously, they didn't play finals. I was pretty big on Melbourne last year, but they're kind of disappointed. Um, Melbourne's win total is at 8.5. Want to run us through the ins and outs and if they're your premiership pick or not?
They are not my premiership pick.
What?
Brought in a few players. They got Jath from Hawthorn, Mychek from Collingwood, Jack Steele came in. That was a bit sad. If you're a
Yeah,
St
it
Kilda
actually was sad.
supporter.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And then on the way out, Clayton Oliver, we know, McVie, Petrarca, Spargo. So quite a lot of changes there.
Yeah,
Notable changes as well.
and I just want to hate for a second, and Jack Billings as well. He was so bad last year. Like every time he played, he was so bad, and they finally delisted. Thank God. All right.
Yeah, there we go. Let it out, man. That's all good. Yeah, I think yeah, a lot of change in this Melbourne side. Sometimes when you lose your coach, you play decent footy, for a little bit. But yeah, when there's this much going on in the team, I feel like their midfield dynamic is changing completely. I think it'll take a bit of time to get used to. And I reckon they'll be sitting at the unders here, bottom 14.
I completely agree. Give me under 8.5 wins for Melbourne. It just feels like a rebuild, doesn't it? So like there were some metrics that said they lost a lot of like one possession games last year, and so you expect that to regress and them to go over. That's a fair reasoning, fair argument, but I just don't think they're going to be in a position to be in one possession games this season, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, it feels like a rebuild. I don't really see them getting to 9 wins. New coach, new one, so that's a lot of unknown. Like, who knows if he's good or not. Let me read you their round 10 to round 22. It's brutal. They got Hawthorn, Western Bulldogs, GWS, Collingwood, and then Essendon, but off a 5 day break at Adelaide. Then they got a bye. Then they got Hawthorn again. Then Richmond, North Melbourne before Geelong, Gold Coast, and
Oh
Freo.
my
Just
God.
brutal stretch there. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to see them winning. I mean, could like Richmond and North Melbourne get on top of them as well? Like, who knows? Like, um, yeah, I just think, yeah, it's. I feel like it's the first year of a massive rebuild, and we see with Melbourne, they can be in a rebuild for a while. So yeah, no, yeah, it doesn't. It's not painful to go under 8.5 wins for Melbourne here. All right, moving on to North Melbourne. Their winter, sorry, last year they went 5 and 17, 13 and 10 against the spread, actually. So pretty good against the spread. I was actually pretty shocked when I saw that. In terms of ins and outs, they got, I guess, Charlie Spargo, again, like some random veteran from another team who's like a role player. In terms of, they delisted a bunch of young guys, but nothing too notable. Yeah, so North Melbourne's win total is 7.5. Give me under 7.5 wins for North Melbourne. Again, with this North Melbourne side, it's the same story. Oh, they're gonna take a leap. They're gonna take a jump, maybe, but I don't know. It just feels like I have to see it to believe it with North Melbourne. If I'm wrong on this, fine. Like I'm not like I'm hammering this under it at all. But yeah, I'm right around market. I see them winning 6 or 7 games, but remember they have two home games in WA, so against Freo and West Coast, but they're in WA. So, but they North Melbourne's home game, so for financial reasons. Um, they will be better at Marvel, I guess. Like they were really bad at Marvel last year as home dogs for some reason. But again, the thing with this team is like defensively they're just so poor. Like Comben's good, but he gets banged up heaps. Who else? Like Toby Pink. Like I'm not really sold on their defense. Yeah, they can score. They'll win a few games here and there. They'll have a couple of shock upsets, as per usual. But I just don't see them being like taking that leap. What do you think?
Yeah, but I'm definitely on the unders here as well. I reckon they'll finish at around 4, 5, 6 wins. But yeah, I think it'll just be another rough year. Obviously, last year they brought in a lot of experienced players, but they're towards the end of their career, so they're only on a decline. Sorry to say. But yeah, I think they're going to have another rough season, and like you said, it's hard to believe. All the media are talking about how they're going to have a much better season. I think I might have heard Wardlaw was injured as well, maybe
Yeah, I
somewhere in
think
there.
Hammy maybe, but again, even with him, he always gets like he has the concussion
Yeah,
things and he always gets banged up.
yeah. So it's just it's hard to say you're gonna climb up the win tally when your team's that banged up or your best player's that banged up. So yeah, give me the unders here.
Yeah, nice. Moving on to Port Adelaide, or we called them Fraud Adelaide last year. We were bang on. They went 9 and 14 last year. They were awful. They went 9 and 14 against the spread as well. So I think during the back end of the season, they just were really poor against the spread. Um, in terms of Oh, yeah. So their Port Adelaide's win total is 9.5. Do you want to run us through their ins and outs?
Yeah, ins. Who they got? Corey Durden.
Yeah.
That's about
Is he
it.
is he any good?
Will, yeah, he plays. Will Brody. Also just sideline at the bench warmer at Fremantle.
Hmm.
And yeah, obviously out the door we've got Travis Boak, Finlayson. Not much. Willie Rioli, I guess
Hmm.
he was exciting to watch. So yeah, not many changes in terms of list. Nothing that's going to make too much of a difference. In terms of their season, if you have a look at who they're actually playing, their first four games: North Melbourne, Essendon, West Coast, and Richmond. So, I reckon almost guaranteed 3 wins. Um, but you never know with the way bad teams play. And then also who they're playing twice. They've got Essendon, North Melbourne, West Coast. So they've got a pretty easy fixture this year. Um, so um, it's it's tempting to go on the overs, but I'm sticking with the unders here. I reckon they're just going to regress a little bit more. Um, as tempting as the overs is, I'm gonna have to sit on the unders here.
Give me over 9.5 wins for Port Adelaide. But that was actually really scary. You like the notes that I have are the exact everything you said. So I said start the season North Melbourne, Essendon, and West Coast, and then I said Richmond and then St Kilda at home. And then I said the exact same thing, North, West Coast, and Essendon twice, which is crazy. Like you will look back, and when you see that, you can just see me think, what? And then
How
anyway,
do you get access to my
yeah, I
notes?
was like, what? How's he know? But yeah, so I think this seems really interesting. So I see why you went under. I get it. I think it's. I'm gonna go over. I think it's really scary to go over, but I really like this pick. I think it's going to be like a team that no one really predicts to be going over, and I think they're a team that could be in that ninth, 10 playing spot, maybe even top eight. If you want to look at the old way you should look at things, but yeah, they could easily make the play in. I think an interesting topic could be who wins more games, Port Adelaide or Adelaide. I think it's way closer than people think. Like I think it could be like one or two games separating the two. Um, with yeah, I think Port Adelaide, obviously new coach, not sure what he's going to bring, but they were just so bad last year. I expect them to be better at home. Yeah, as they have a lot of easy, they have a really soft draw, a lot of easy opponents compared to last year's schedule. So yeah, they were just as in we saw with Ken Hinkley leaving, maybe the team wasn't fully bought in. New coach, new system. Let's see how it brings up. Again, no expectations. So yeah, going with the over 9.5. I know it sounds scary, but I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be pretty clear halfway through that they're going to reach 10 plus wins. Moving on to Richmond. Last year they went 5 and 18, 11 and 12 against the spread. So even though we thought that they had a really good season, they actually went 500 against the spread. In terms of ins and outs, no one I really care about, to be honest. So I'm going to skip that. But yeah, Richmond's win total is 4.5 wins. Give me under 4.5 wins for Richmond here. I think they win the wooden spoon this year. Um, yeah, like last year, everyone's sort of underrating them. I think this year, everyone's sort of overrating them. I think David King said they might make top 10, which I think is pretty ridiculous. Yep, I think in the long term, with this core group of players, don't mind seeing them. And I am going to play them at the MCG. We saw them at the MCG last year, be really good and really profitable. But going to pick my spots. I see maybe 4 wins for them. The schedule's okay. It's not too bad. Obviously, they were really bad last year, so they're not going to get a brutal schedule or anything. Obviously, lots of games in Melbourne, but I don't see them finishing over 4.5 wins here. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm with the unders here. I think, you know, they'll play some decent competitive footy and, in terms of ATS, I reckon they'll cover pretty well. But I just don't think they'll be good enough to get the wins. So I'm looking at around 3, 4 wins. Last year we said they're not even going to get 2 wins, but we saw them get half the total in their first game. So
Yeah.
you never know what can happen. But yeah, I think they'll be finishing in the unders here.
Yeah, I agree. That was a bad read by us there last year. Moving on to St Kilda, they went 9-14 last year. 9-14 against the spread as well, so pretty poor. Um, St Kilda's win total is 12 and a half. Run us through the ins and outs.
Yep. So in they've brought in Tom de Koning, Flanders, Liam Ryan, Jack Silvani. So a few decent names. How many games they'll play, probably not sure. And then out the door, we've obviously got Jack Steele, and Max Heath. Um, with their season, look, I think everyone's pretty bullish on them. With especially with the players that they've brought in. I feel like everyone says the new ruck rules will suit Tom de Koning a little bit more, given he is pretty athletic. But yeah, I think it's just one of those teams you can't really be sure about. I feel like every year they're just always, you know, proving you wrong one way or another. I've gone on the unders here. But I think they could very easily just play some good footy and rack up a few wins, and go on the unders here. So not much confidence in that one. But yeah, I'm on the unders.
Yeah, give me under 12 and a half wins for St Kilda. You said it perfectly, mate. Public darling is this St Kilda side. Everyone thinks they brought in all those players, and so they're now going to be a contender. Absolutely not. Like they were 9-14 last year, as I said. Like, are those players going to give you 4 wins? Like, that seems a little bit
Yeah.
excessive. So, definitely looking to fade them in the market week to week, especially early in the season. And then we can look at the back half of the season. I can see them get to like 11 wins, perhaps. So I'm not. It's not like I'm way under market here. I can see them get to 11, but yeah, investing in a team who hasn't proven it. Just so I just think the number's way too big. 12 and a half is just way too big for me. So yeah, I think you laid it out perfectly. Give me the under for St Kilda. All right, moving on to Sydney here. Last year they went 12-11 and 9-14 against the spread. Obviously, coming off a grand final performance, they underperformed a lot. In terms of ins and outs, obviously they brought in Charlie Curnow, and in terms of outs, Buller went to Collingwood, Florent and Hayward, obviously in that trade, go to Carlton. Yeah, so Sydney's win total is 14 and a half. Give me over 14 and a half wins for Sydney. Don't love this one, not hammering it by any stretch, but I think they get to 16 plus wins, so I don't hate them for top four or top six, however you want to play it. They finished with St Kilda, Port Adelaide, Essendon, and North. So you see them winning, and based on what I said about St Kilda, I can see them going 3-1 at least, or 4-0. So if they need some wins at the end of the season, I feel like that's wide open there. Um, yeah, I like this team to bounce back. I think the public sentiment is that they bounce back, and I think they do. And they're had a season from hell last year. I'm keen to see the Gordon to Kerno combination. I feel like it's going to be a win-win trade at the end of the day. I feel like both teams get better from that trade. But yeah, what do you think about Sydney?
Yeah, I think with Charlie Curnow, they got exactly who they needed. A big reliable forward, as well as they've got players to actually get the kicks to him, whereas
That's
exactly what
right.
Carlton lacked. So yeah, I think they'll be a pretty dangerous team. Definitely a team that's going to be hard to beat. I've gone on the unders here simply because I've
Wow.
got them at 14 wins.
Okay,
So yeah,
that's fair.
I definitely, top top 18. What is it? Top 10
Yeah,
team.
top 10.
Yeah. So yeah, no doubt about that. I think they're going to be a very dangerous team. Even without that key forward, they find a way to kick goals. But yeah, having him there definitely going to help. So yeah, unders, but barely. So yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't agree per se. As in, I feel like the key forward thing is a big deal for them. That's sort of like the
yeah.
one area they're really lacking. Obviously they lose a bit of class on the outside there as well. Okay, moving on to West Coast here. They went 1-22 last year. That's crazy. 9-14 against the spread. Obviously, really poor as home dogs. West Coast win total is 2.5. Cast runners for the ins and outs.
Yeah, they've got another number one draft pick. So that's Willem Dersma. They brought in Duff Titler. I don't know how to say his name.
Hmm.
And I don't know, Starcevich as well. So I guess when you look at it from that point of view, some decent ins. But obviously they've lost Oscar Allen. He's gone over to Brisbane, and Joe McGovern. Big loss. Obviously, he brings a lot of experience. And Liam Ryan as well. Um, how are they gonna go? I genuinely have no read on this. I want to say the unders, just because it's I don't know, just another one of those seasons where they just got to get through it almost. But then when you've got such high draft picks, they're just so hungry to make an impact and get their name out there. So I wouldn't be mad if they got the overs as well. But I'm picking the unders.
One of my favorite picks. Give me over 2.5 wins for West Coast. Most of the market has a 3.5. So I've over that as well. Um, yeah, I love this. I love this team to sort of regress the other way. Um, as I said earlier on, they have North at Optus twice due to North's home game thing. And then I feel like they could get up to maybe 7 wins max. Like I see that as a potential possibility. Could they pinch like a derby game randomly? Like I see that happening. Harley Reid also breakout. Yeah, I feel like no one's really talking about him, but I feel like I don't know. Could it be? I don't know. I'm not. I have to look into this, but I don't know about like bad team Brownlow threats if that's a thing. Probably not because they're going to lose too many games. But um, yeah. Either way, like I think Kylie's going to be on for a good year. And I said off the top about how bad this team was against the spread. I did the numbers. I went 3-8 against the spread versus non-WA teams at Optus last year, 1-10 straight up. So I feel like that comes out to earth. I feel like they pinch a couple games that they shouldn't against teams sort of going sleepy spot all the way across the country to West Coast. So I feel like they're going to be a team I play week to week a lot this year. 2.5 wins is really low, obviously. If they get, I don't know, one or two against Richmond, and then just need to steal a couple more, I feel like it's pretty easy to get over this 2.5 mark. Obviously, never know. They're a bad team. See what happens. Don't think they are a chance for top 10 or anything like that. But um, yeah, give me over 2.5 for West Coast. All right. Moving on to the Western Bulldogs here. Their win total, sorry, last year they went 14-9, obviously just missing out on finals. 14-9 against the spread as well, so pretty good against the spread. They brought in Butterick from the Suns. Other than that, nothing too crazy. Obviously, Hugo Hagen didn't play at all last year, but gets traded to the Gold Coast Suns. The Western Bulldogs win total is 13.5. Give me the under 13.5 wins for the Western Bulldogs. Again, I'm not going to be shocked about this if they go over or under. I'm right around market, but is it their first 8 games? So they're at Brisbane, then the Giants at Adelaide, then a bye, and then Essendon, which is pretty much another bye, and then Hawthorn, Geelong, Sydney, Freo. So not an easy start. What's the best case scenario there? Like 4-4, 5-3.
Yeah.
And we saw with Carlton last year, like when things like start bad, they can go from bad to worse really quickly. So and with the Western Bulldogs team, I feel like everyone's hyping them up a little bit. But I just don't see it. Like they're always a team where once expectations are put on them, they underperform. So again, they dominated Marvel last year. So could they like they smash these bad teams? Could they like lose a random game to like Essendon or something like that? As in, is if
Mm.
Essendon's a lot better than what we perceive, that can absolutely happen. Yeah, they were obviously really bad against top eight sides. So if you think that's going to regress, fair enough. But even I feel like it doesn't regress too much. Like I feel like that could regress, but then they could also lose to some bad teams. So who knows what happens? But yeah, give me the under for the Bulldogs from run around market. What do you think?
Yeah, well, not sure if you realize, but I haven't given my premiership pick yet. Don't worry, it's not Bulldogs. I genuinely don't have a premiership pick. I've got like three teams that I just can't decide between. I'll let you know at the end.
All right.
But yeah, Bulldogs, yeah, absolutely not. I think I've seen a bit around online as well that they just don't have a backline properly anymore. So yeah, I think teams might find a way to score against them, or just an easy way through. And yeah, the quality players that they do have are sort of, falling away. Like, I'm not saying Bont's going to have a bad season, but like he's not
Yeah, he's
not
not
getting
getting
any better,
younger.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
They got Sam Darcy. He's a gun. And I'm sure he'll find a way to kick some goals, being the key forward up there. But yeah, I just don't think they have enough to get to 14 plus wins. I reckon they'll be finishing around the 10 mark, just a bit above. So yeah, I'm on the unders here. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they just find a way to get some extra wins in.
Yeah, their top end talent is really good, but then the bottom end's like really poor. As you said, defensively,
Yeah.
they can be found out really easily, which is the problem they have against good teams. I don't really see that changing too much this season. All right, that wraps up our winter. So pretty long episode, as we said off the top. But yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed our analysis there. So I had, I think, 10 unders and 8 overs. So I usually that's pretty accurate. We had a lot of overs last year because all the good teams were good and the bad teams were bad. So I think I went 500 last year. Do you know how many you have for each?
Have 5 overs and the rest are unders. So
5 overs is crazy.
yeah.
I mean,
Very, very heavy on the unders. But
yeah. I mean, statistically, I think if you go under for every team, it's meant to be mathematically favorable, but I don't know about 13 teams.
yeah.
All right, so talk us through what you're thinking for Premiership.
So I'm just very split between Adelaide, Brisbane, and Hawthorn. But if you're following, just the rule of it's a Victorian game, I guess you are looking at Hawthorn.
Hmm.
But yeah,
But
I
Brisbane's
feel
won the
like
last
Brisbane.
two. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then also Brisbane, I feel like, they might have not a mediocre year, or like a season, but I think once it comes to finals, they just find another gear and like
Yep.
absolutely deliver. And that's why you sort of just can't count them out in this finals. Once they're in there, it's
Yep.
dangerous.
Agree.
And then Adelaide, maybe a little bit less confident. I think they were shocking last year in the finals. So
Hmm.
yeah, that bit to build on, and then Hawthorn just look like they bring a lot of excitement to footy. So maybe it'll be a Brisbane Hawthorn game.
Yeah, I can see that happening for sure. Um, I'm gonna say there is a 0% chance that Adelaide wins the grand final this year. There's a 0% chance. And
I'll take them out of my thing.
mind you, these are my Adelaide Crows, right? At least they were. Now that you're Adelaide Crows,
Yeah,
apparently.
apparently.
All right, we'll wrap it up there then. Cuss, any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
How many days until footy, man? Not too sure.
I
Couple
think
weeks. I'm
eight.
I'm just
I think
excited.
8 days. Not a couple weeks, 8 days, I
8 days.
think. Yeah, next Thursday.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. Far out. Keen. I'm just keen to watch some
Yeah.
footy again.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so we'll be back next week for our opening round picks. As I said, they're not going to count towards our picks competition. They'll all start in round one, but we'll still give our picks out anyway. As a reminder, please leave a like on this video. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you next week.